we got one of the biggest group submitters on the podcast today, KK Sports Cards, Kyle Kania, the owner. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like what a group submitter does and why they're necessary in the hobby?
How's it going? Thanks, Chad, for having me on the podcast. Appreciate it. A group submission, we facilitate the cards to get graded through the grading companies. A lot of the grading companies have membership fees. You have to type all your cards out. We eliminate all that work. You send us your cards. We already work directly with the companies. We have direct reps. Our stuff gets in, we type it for you, and then get it back to you graded. It's actually cheaper in most cases as well. So you're saving money, you're saving the time and hassle, especially if you're only grading, a handful of cards, or if you're grading a lot of cards, you're saving on the shipping back from PSA because we're sending in bulk. It's diversified across multiple people. Where if you send yourself, I think it's minimum $18 return shipping from BSA just for one card, whereas the return shipping is like $4. So everything's insured. We've grown to be one of the largest group submission companies. They're having a great team, great processes. It's been a blessing and an awesome ride. Just coming into work every day, seeing great cards, seeing the stuff coming back. Getting excited for people, seeing them. Get huge grades is why we do this every day.
So which companies do you work with and has that changed throughout the course of time?
Sure. Yeah. So we originally just started out with PSA. We do have a lot of employees. When PSA shut down, I had to keep the business functioning. So we started working with SGC and then CSG as well. SGC was a great alternative, still is a good alternative for getting cards back super quick. So we branched into those two. We're looking into doing the Beckett when our new website drops as well.
With all these grading companies popping up though, how do you make a decision on if they're legitimate enough to use for you?
Right. So, I mean, I've already kind of established in my head, I'm not going to branch out more. It comes down to market share, what kind of response, what kind of resale value, does a new grading company's little flip in their grade at a premium? Like when HGA kind of popped up and went down, I didn't, I didn't want anything to do with that. PSA is by far the leader. They have the best resale. And as far as I'm concerned, the other big three would be Beckett, SGC, and CSG, probably in that order. So, I stick to the big guys because I wouldn't want to recommend grading to any company that I wouldn't send my own cards to. We handle every single card like it's our own as it comes in. So, we get asked a lot of advice on where should I send this? How should I even get this graded? So we just give it, we give our advice based on if the card was ours.
So let's go back to like 2019, 2020, when people were sending in almost everything they had
Yeah.
versus today where people might be sending in, they might be selecting more what they're sending in. How did that affect your business? And also, do you see a change in the amount of cards that are being graded today versus when there was a mad rush in 2019, 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. I mean, when in 2019, everyone was sending every single basketball rookie that they pulled out of every pack from Chronicles to Mosaic to Prism. It was mayhem. We got inundated. I think we sent out, we were averaging over 100,000 cards a month sending. It was just insane. We were working around the clock, busy, busy, busy. But now, people with the increased cost, even though the cost now at 18 is pretty good, people are more selective. They're just sending in autographs. They're just sending in, numbered cards, low pop stuff. People are studying pop reports more and, looking at which Brady cards are super low pop. If you get a pop 4 or 5 Brady, even if it's a base, '03 Classics card, for example, or whatever it may be, someone's going to need that for their set registry. So people are definitely a lot smarter with what they're grading. And so the grading definitely has come down with the quantity of cards, and that's just because people have matured and learned in the market, what's really going to hold value long term.
So PSA, they've consistently been dropping their prices in the last few months, and they're the main grading company that you use, I would say. So do
Yes.
you think there's any chance that they keep lowering it to get more people to send in more cards, or do you think that 18 is kind of the sweet spot to where it'll stay?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely think that PSA will lower the prices further. I think that's not going to be for at least 6 months, though, in my opinion. You know, they keep growing, they're hiring more staff, you know, they're a business, they want to grade more cards. So they got to find that mix between price point and volume. You know, the fact that they dropped it so quickly from like 30 to what do they go 24, then 18, you know, tells me that they were not getting enough cards at $30 and at $24. So I think the 18 really does make sense. You know, I think through us with if you submit bulk, it's right around the 1650, 17 mark. You know, I think that that price point makes sense because right before they shut down, you know, that's what it was about $16. So you're not too far off from that. I think that's going to be where it's going to stick for a while. I mean, we've seen a huge influx since they've opened that service level. So just based on that, I know that they're going to be staying busy for a little bit with that. But I think that, you know, within the next 6 months to a year, there probably will be, I'm hoping like a $12 level, and then it's going to be, you know, almost floodgates again with, you know, sending almost anything. But even right now, you know, you can take $5 cards, $10 cards and grade them for 18, you know, and then 3, 4, 5x your money. You know, it really does make sense. I know I'm setting personal goals weekly and how many cards I'm setting for myself, just because it, you know, mathematically it makes sense.
Yeah, I noticed that at these card shows recently, a lot of people are like buying to grade
Yeah.
where they stopped doing that kind of for a year. And now at the $18 price point, you can look at people's value bins and stuff and find stuff to grade, which is amazing.
100% because a lot of dealers and stuff, you know, they put those cards weren't worth grading when it was $40, $50, even $30. So they got put into value bins, and you know, a lot of people just never dug them out. So you know, you see a lot of people at shows, you know, going through and finding those cards like, you know, 3, 5, $10 cards that you can turn into $60 PSA 10s and $20 PSA 9s. You break even, and they gem out at an 80% rate. That makes sense, you know. Um, yeah, but it's you know, it's definitely a good, it's the easiest money in the hobby, in my opinion, or the most passive income, especially if you're using a group submission company. All you gotta do is get the cards, mail them to us. We handle all the work. You don't have to spend hours typing in every card. It's tedious. It's tedious for those who have done it. You know, and then it comes back, you pay at the very end, you know, your hands off, your great cards come back slabbed, and now you can consign them, sell them, and you know, usually 2, 3, 4 extra money if you know what you're doing.
Let's go into the technicals a little bit of the process. So let's say I had like 50 cards that I want to grade with you through PSA on the $18 level. So I literally would take the 50 cards, ship them to you, and then they'll be graded. And then 4 or 5 months later, you'll notify me, and then I'll pay for it once they pop. Or is that right? Is that how the process works?
Right, that's correct. So you would send us, you'd go to our website, kksportscards.com. You'd place an order, quantity 50 for the $18 service level. You would ship us the cards. You'd have a picture uploaded in your account of the cards you sent. We handle it from there, get them typed and out, usually within 24 to 48 business hours. We got overnight packages going every day to PSA. And then when they come back, you put a credit card down on file when you place the order. Your credit card gets charged when it's done. Now your package is on the way back to you. It's that easy.
I mean, for me, that's something that I love. I love using your service because I don't like to do anything. I'd rather just like have you do it all, and I'm paying the same price anyway. So that's a benefit that I love to use with you guys.
Exactly, because you can then be spending that time, that 4, 5, 6, 8 hours you would have been typing, you know, your 500 cards. You could be finding other cards to keep, you know, your cycle going. So it really makes sense, you know, to use something, a service like ours, because you can, you know, time is your most valuable asset. You can, instead of typing cards in for 8 hours, you could be buying another 100 cards in those 8 hours.
100%. 100%. What do you think the biggest card that you've ever graded was?
Oof, we've had a lot of big ones come through. You know, we had the 101 Trevor Lawrence logo laundry tag auto from 21 Prism. It's a thick card that got a PSA 10. We got a '03 Exquisite Michael Jordan. It's his first patch auto PSA 9. That was about $125,000 card.
Wow.
We've gotten '03 Bowman Chrome LeBron James X Fractor PSA 10, but that was when that was about a year ago when, you know, that was a $100,000 card. You know, we've had multiple huge cards. I mean, Jackie Robinson rookie PSA 8s, you know, like huge cards. You know, a guy came in with band-aids on his fingers, and I was like, sir, why do you have band-aids? He said, well, you know, I was going through my attic and I found all these cards, so I was, you know, picking them out of the binder sleeves and walks in with 5 Jackie Robinson rookies that have been untouched, just the crazy stuff like that we see. But I mean, we see so many great cards, and we try to highlight some of those on our Instagram with our card of the day videos. But yeah, we've definitely had, some awesome, huge iconic cards come through, and it's the best part of the job.
Switching gears a little bit, I've noticed that Pokemon is getting a lot more popular. Last year, F1 was very popular. UFC gained some steam. Do you grade mostly basketball, baseball, football cards, or are you branching out into the other sports?
Yeah, so we accept Pokemon, we accept UFC, any type of card that PSA will grade, we will grade it for you. It's people always ask, well, what's the most popular sport, that you could grade it? I mean, it depends on the season, right? Like, right now we're seeing it with Select, Optic, and Prism football dropping. We're seeing a ton of football cards. Coming into the next baseball season, we'll see a ton of baseball. Right now, I think we're about to see a ton of basketball with whoever gets hot as the basketball season is starting. So it's definitely season dependent. And then Pokemon's consistent. It's probably 5 to 10% of what we grade is Pokemon. It's a decent little chunk. But it's always coming through year round. Like they say, Charizard never gets hurt. So that's definitely always coming through. And then yeah, we've definitely, F1 got hot for a while. We've seen a sharp drop off of F1 coming in. WWE, UFC, that stuff, it's here and there. Not super consistent, but yeah.
To me, PSA used to be more of like the non-auto cards, like the parallels, the rookies. But today, a lot of people are sending their autograph cards to PSA. Are a lot of people grading the auto now with PSA, or are they, if they have an autograph card, are they more just grading the card?
Right. So that's a great question. So clearly depends on the card. If the auto is a little bit smeared or there's a streak in it or whatever, and Beckett would give it a 9 auto, people are not grading the auto with PSA. On mid-tier cards, I'd say stuff in the 25 to 300-400 range. I would say people are not grading the autographs. What I've seen an increase on dual service on, which is auto or card and auto grade, is on like big cards, Bowman Chrome autos, National Treasures, those more expensive cards where that auto grade really does add a value. Or even like Mac Jones, his autos are streaky 95, 99% of the time. So I've seen, a lot of his, if he has a nice one, people will get that graded. But there's definitely been an increase in people getting the auto graded just because there is a premium on the resale.
So you're saying people are kind of picking and choosing. If they think it's a good auto, they'll do the auto grade on a high-end card. That's what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah, especially on high-end cards or Bowman Chrome autos in particular. Yeah, definitely. But if it's just a run-of-the-mill, Grant Hill auto, that's a $40 auto, they're just throwing that in their bulk order because it is about an extra $10 to get the auto graded. Not that that's a crazy amount, but people are definitely just doing it on the stuff that's a little bit more expensive.
So switching gears again,
Sure.
I'd like to know like how many people are working at your company and like around how many cards are you sending out a day currently?
Yeah, so right now between Whatnot and the submission side, we have 44 people. We're actually looking for
Wow.
another building, another office location where we can get more we just need more space. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, from processing the stuff. We handle all the cards for grading extremely carefully. You got all the shippers that, you don't see them on the front lines, especially for Whatnot. We're shipping out 600-700 packages a day. We have buyers, we have, people that work off site, people that run consignments. It's definitely a vast it's great, just crazy how many people we have been able to get. It's we have a really great team here, and that's you're only as good as your weakest link. And we have everyone here cares, treats the cards as if they were their own. A lot of people here are card people. We handle things right and do things the right way. And it's been a blessing with the amount of people we've been able to find. As far as amount of cards being sent off per day, I would say it's about 500 cards a day right now. Kind of
Wow.
varies. We have customers locally that'll come in once a month and drop 1,000 cards, 1,500 cards. So in those days it's more, but I'd say on average, just from mail-in submissions, right around the 500 card mark between, right now it's about 95% PSA, 5% SGC and other companies.
So do you have a physical store location where people could come in and drop off, or is your physical location just for back end type stuff?
Yeah, so we do not have an actual card shop yet. That's within my 6-month goal. We do have
Wow.
a public location though, where you can come in. We have a little bit of wax for sale, and you can drop off. We have computers there, so you can, place your order with us. So yeah, people can walk in, and then it's a smaller area, just kind of a drop off location, and then everything that happens is in the back. Just some huge on security. Every door's, has different coded locks, and security is number one for me. We got ADT cameras everywhere. So yeah, people can walk in. We got about 5 seats. People can sit down. Some people hang out, talk, drop off their cards. But I really want to get a card store where it's much bigger area for the public to walk in.
I noticed that like about 4 to 6 months ago, you went on Whatnot and started selling consignment and a little bit of breaks. What was the thought process behind switching gears and not only doing group submitting, but also going live on Whatnot and doing live selling?
Yeah, so believe it or not, we've actually been on Whatnot for a year now.
Wow.
We didn't get serious about it though until, like you said, right about 6, 7 months ago. It was kind of at that point where, I have people on payroll, I have overhead, I have expenses. PSA, the cheapest, way to submit was 150 a card. At that point, we were getting, not enough to to pay the bills. So I was like, Whatnot approached me at the Dallas Card Show, and they were like, "Hey, would you like to come on?" And at first, I was kind of put off. I was like, "Do I have time for this? Do I really want to, do this?" And I was like, "You know what? I'll test it out. I'll do one show, see what we can do." And yeah, it just, it kind of took off from there. We started just ripping 2013 select football, and now we have a vast wax inventory with our new website drop, and we'll be selling boxes on the website. It's really been a great thing for the company that it's, grown so much that we have to have, so we have the third floor for submissions in our current building, and the second floor is for Whatnot. So it's just unbelievable.
Do you see yourself branching out into other avenues of the hobby besides live selling and group submitting? Do you see yourself doing other stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I really I'm trying to get a solid content creator to do more kind of like what we're doing here, just talking to people, and more YouTube videos and stuff like that. But, we're gonna be partnering with Golden Auctions for consignments. So we'll have like the KK logo on items that go to them. So that shows provenance. That card came back from PSA to us straight to Golden. That they're, it wasn't like it passed through 5 or 10 different hands. Something could have happened, so that, and then, we're definitely looking into a storefront, brick and mortar where we're selling singles, buying singles. That's the part of the hobby I love, is just buying, selling, interacting with people. So that's where we're going to go, is probably storefront, look to partner with other companies, and then, keep blowing up the social, or try to blow up the social media.
So going into yourself, like you're saying, what you like, what's your roots as a collector? How long have you been in the business as like a collector? And what do you like to collect personally?
Yeah, sure. So, I got introduced to the hobby because every year growing up, my dad would buy me the complete set of tops, probably from 2004. So I was 6 years old on to when I was like 15, 16. Um,
Wow.
from there, so I always had these sets, and I was like, oh, cool, whatever, and then I was very entrepreneurial minded, and I was like, I want to get a job when I was like 15, 16, but I was playing baseball, I had workouts, I had no time for a job. So I was like, so I started dabbling, I searched up like Derek Jeter rookie, because I just wanted one. I think it was right around before he retired or whatever. I was like, I want a Jeter rookie. And I was like, well, I can buy a Topps one raw for $7, but why is a PSA 10 selling for $100, $120 in a 10? I was like, how do I get my card to be worth that much? And I literally ran into, oh, you just submitted the PSA. So I started buying cards raw on eBay for 30 minutes at night before I'd go to bed, send them off the PSA. They'd come back, I'd consign them with Probstein, and I was able to turn a profit. And that's how I, bought my first car. That's how I really got started. And then I just kept going with that cycle and that system because it worked. I did that so much. PSA offered me the preferred pricing program. And then when I blew up my arm in college baseball my senior year, that's when I took it to a business level of, hey, let me do a group submission. And my original idea was, hey, I just want, a few people to submit. I'll make a couple bucks a card and my own grading will be free. I had no idea it was going to blow up into, what it's become, but it's been such a blessing. So thankful for it. But yeah, it's
What types of cards were you buying at the time? Were you buying like the GOATs and the superstars, or were you buying more of like the unknown players?
baseball. Yeah, I'm just a baseball junkie, played baseball. That's what I like to collect. Sorry, I didn't answer that. I got a 52 tops mantle. I have a Babe Ruth game used bat barrel. I'm
What's
just
the grade on the mantle?
It's a 6 miscut.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm just baseball is that's what I collect. Personally, I got a whole box right in there that's locked up. That's just my personal collection of baseball stuff. Pujols, Ichiro, Miggy, Jeter, all those guys that I grew up watching, Mike Trout, stuff like that. Um, so
We're around the same age. When I was younger, I didn't have that many friends that were collecting sports cards. What was your experience like when you were like 8 to 15? Did you have a lot of friends in it, or did you kind of have to do it on your own?
Not at all. I had no friends into it, and I would have killed for a friend. I wish we would have met back then, and I would have had somebody to talk to about cards, because it was like, I tried to tell people about it, and they'd think, what the heck, like base sports cards, like so I had nobody involved in it. It was just, my thing that I did by myself pretty much. I was almost embarrassed to tell people like that I was doing it because, people would be like, oh, don't kids do that? It's like, no, this is big business. Like, a lot of people don't understand the hobby and the impact and how far it reaches.
Has the hobby blowing up in the last couple of years changed the way you collect or the way you invest in sports cards at all?
Yes, I've thankfully through my business and the success we've had, I've been able to kind of pick up some Grail baseball cards for me that are more expensive that were unattainable. But yeah, I pick up, I'm mainly rookie. I'm a rookie guy, so I try to buy the top rookie card of future Hall of Fame players. I even go like Adrian Beltre, Roy Halladay. Like I'm just a baseball junkie, even not just the mainstream guys. Their Bowman Chrome refractors, their rookie autos, first Chrome autos, stuff like that is what I've collected. But I've always wanted those cards, and now I'm just at the point where I'm starting to be able to attain them and pick them up.
I remember in Dallas like 2 years ago, you bought a Trout refractor 9510 first Bowman auto for like 30 or something. And
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't realize you were doing such big cards at the time. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I was doing basketball and football because I mean, you see what the prices on some of that did, but I was just stuck in the baseball niche just because that's what I knew. I'm pretty much an expert on, baseball cards of the last 25 years. So, but yeah, I'd flipped like 10 or 12 Bowman Chrome Trout autos within like a month span. I remember at the National 2 years ago in 2020, I bought a blue auto, 8510 for 30,000, put it on the table without it being on the table for 3 minutes. Somebody came up and offered me 35 grand and I sold it. It was just crazy. I also sold like 5 diamond anniversary PSA 10s that national. That national was crazy. I don't, were you there in 2020?
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
at all of them since like
Yeah.
2012.
It's awesome, dude. Yeah. Nothing beats the national.
But this is a subject that I just hit my head that's very important. Cracking.
Yeah.
What is cracking something that's still prevalent today that people are doing, or is that something that's more of the past? And why don't you explain what cracking is and why it could be so beneficial?
Sure, yeah. People are definitely still cracking. A lot of the savvier investors or people, that know what they're doing. They're looking. The reason
But
why
what is
so
cracking?
so
What is
cracking is when you take. This is what I use. Little wire cutters, and you very carefully crack the card out of the PSA, BGS, or SGC case. So you clip the tops, remove the plastic, and kind of stick a screwdriver in, and you pop it. I've cracked massive cards of 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 9s for a crazy customer that I said resubmit, and one of these is going to get a 10. I've cracked, 40, $50,000 cards. So
You don't get scared?
no, I'm very comfortable doing it. I treat every card, whether it's a $20 card or $50,000 card the same. It's just do the process and do it carefully. But the reason why people, crack is because here's an example. Like I just bought 2017 select Patrick Mahomes BGS 95s True Gems from my local card shop for $350 a piece. Okay, PSA 10s are doing 800, 850. So, typically when it's a true gem, that's your best chance at getting a PSA 10.
What's a true gem for the novices out there?
True gem would be all four subgrades as a 9.5 with Beckett. That would be centering, corners, surface, and edges. The discrepancy between the 9.5 and the PSA 10 is getting to the point of like 2x, 2.5x in some cases. So, that's definitely a market play if you have some more capital to go buy cards, that are 300 or even that you can turn $1,000 cards into, $2,500 cards. One of my favorite cracking stories was at that national in 2020. I cracked a '03 SP choreography LeBron auto, true gem for a customer, cracked it at my table, PSA 1010. So there's definitely a big value gain to be had on those cards. And that does come with risk though. It's not gonna happen, it's not guaranteed every time, but grading's one guy's opinion on one day. We've sent cards back 3, 4, 5 times, and on that fifth time it gets the PSA 10.
Personally, I think what you just said is very valuable information. I think if you take quantity of a card, like 7 to 10 of the same card, your risk goes down. Your entry point of cost goes up, but your risk goes down because when you're messing with just one card and you're cracking it, you could not get the grade or you could get a lower grade. Do you agree that you want to kind of do it in volume?
Bingo. Yeah, that's a definitely little secret that, nobody really talks about. But yeah, it's a coin flip if you have one card. But if you do it on, 5 to 10 cards, like you said, your chances of hitting, because even if you hit, I said in seven, even if I hit 3 of the 7, I'm gonna make more money than if I sold them as the 9.5s. But yeah, doing it in quantity is definitely a sneaky good tip to increase your chances and drastically increase your chances.
Another question with the recent Mickey Mantle sale of an SGC 10 going for 12, or was it a 9.5 or
SGC 9.5,
yeah.
12.6 or 12.7 million. Yeah.
Did you see any uptick in people wanting to send in SGC cards, or was it like the same as what it was before?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's the same as what it was before. A lot of SGC and their resale is actually pretty, comparable with PSA within 10 to 20% on vintage stuff. So we saw an uptick of vintage stuff going to SGC. Overall in SGC, I wouldn't say as much. But we have a lot of people that, they're doing complete sets. And like we had a guy drop off this week, a 1956 top set complete, SGC'd all of them. So yeah, the vintage stuff definitely was heading SGC's way a little bit more after that sale.
That's the thing. People speak a lot in generalities, but there's so many different subcategories to the hobby. It's like vintage has always been strong for SGC,
Yeah.
but for modern, it's about half the value of a PSA 10.
Yeah.
So people are speaking about the mantle, but they're not diving into the specifics that it's good for vintage, but for modern, it might not mean as much. Does that you agree with that?
I spot on. You're 100% right. And if you look at like T206s, they actually sell the same, if not more, than PSA and T206 cards. So yeah, people just generalize talk about SGC, but yeah, you really have to break it down by era to get an accurate analysis on it.
So let's say a PSA 10 of that mantle. I think one is hitting the market potentially soon, or do you know about that?
I haven't heard about that. That'd be incredible. I know there's three. Ken Kendrick has one. Somebody else has another, and then the third one, nobody knows who it's like nobody knows who owns it. Two of them are accounted for. The third one, just some random guy has it and hasn't come out or posted it or anything. But yeah,
So if the SGC 9.5 goes for 12.6 million, what would you estimate a PSA 10 of that same card would go for?
I 15 to 20 million dollars would be my guess. It could go way more. It could go up to 25. 25 wouldn't shock me. It's just such a rare grail card, and one hasn't gone to the auction block in over 10 years. there's got to be some big collectors that are just drooling over the thought of having a PSA 10. Um,
Yeah,
all
everything is so case by case basis. It's hard to compare a card like that to like another vintage card even because there's only three PSA 10s. It's so hard to compare.
right, and all those three PSA 10s and that SGC 9.5 came from the same find by Alan Rosen, who was a collector, a dealer in the 90s. All four of those came out from a collection he had bought, and he thought that that SGC one was the best copy of the four. So some people say the three PSA 10s actually aren't as nice as the SGC 9.5. That goes to show that SGC is tough on grading, but once again, that's opinion based.
Based on centering and color or based on what?
Yeah, he wrote a letter actually, and it was sold with the card if you go to the auction. And Alan
The
Rosen released the
SGC
letter.
one?
Yes, that SGC one. Alan Rosen wrote a letter saying this is the finest 52 tops Mickey Mantle I have ever bought or sold. He had bought and sold hundreds of them, if not thousands of them. I think there was like 150 of them just in that one find. Um, but yeah, he said that SGC one to him was the premier best 52 tops Mantle he had ever owned or seen.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So my last question to you is where do you see KK Sports Cards 5 years from today?
5 years from today, wow. Definitely with the storefront, just continuing to have a hobby presence. I really just want to provide value and knowledge, more than anything. Just, hopefully that, God blesses me and the business continues to grow and do well. But, I feel like sharing knowledge, there's a lot of people that just pump, mainstream headline type stuff. Like there's a lot of true value points about the hobby that I think are not talked about enough. So, I mean, I'd love to have a podcast, the storefront for sure, growing the grading. Our new website is going to be the best group submission website on the market, hands down. It's been in the works for about 7, 8 months. It's going to be even way better than our current one. So I'm excited for that. And then it's just going to be continuing to grow, sell boxes, invest in sealed wax. I think that's a huge play. Continue to do stuff like this. We have a great relationship. I know you spent a ton with us, and I love this aspect of the hobby, talking the hobby with other people who actually understand and know it. So, just meeting more people, going to more shows, and I mean, this is living the dream to me. So I'm thankful and I'm along for the ride.
It's great to hear. I mean, I love your service. I've used you a lot and I appreciate everything you've done for me. And
Absolutely. Thank
you've
you.
been great. Kyle Kania, owner of KK Sports Cards. Thanks
Yep.
for coming on today. That was a great conversation. I appreciate it.
100%, Chad. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and I'm sure we'll talk to you sooner or later this week.
All right, great. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Thanks.